Out here exploring in the woods by this river, and there's a beautiful alligator here. It's basking in the sun right there on that riverbank. How you doing? It's looking right at us. Don't want to disturb it, get much closer, and make it move out of its habitat here. It's really enjoying itself here along the water. This is some of the incredible nature I'm experiencing out here in this wilderness. Hi, I'm Florida Trailblazer. It's great to be with you out here in the woods, enjoying nature today. And I'm exploring currently in the Green Swamp Wilderness Preserve, place of beauty, history. See, there's many layers of history throughout this wilderness. And a lot to discover, many places to roam, very interesting areas to see. Hiking this dirt road into the woods here towards an old homestead. There's even a cemetery there, reminders from the past. During the 1800s and early to mid 1900s, many folks had homesteads, ranches throughout these areas. Today they're abandoned. Nature's reclaimed much of this place. It's nice to come across the history. It sparks your curiosity, makes you wonder about people who once were out in these areas. And that's just some of the history here. Let's take a journey into these woods. Out here exploring deep in the woods, enjoying this nature all around and discovering some interesting history as well. Just up ahead in the woods here is an old cabin, remains from a homestead that was here during the early 1900s, and tragically the people that lived here during that time were murdered here at their homestead, and they are buried nearby there now. The cemetery is there, so it's a reminder of the past and some of the history in this area. May their souls rest in peace. You can sense the history exploring in this area. And this cabin here was part of a homestead that was built in the early 1900s by the Stewarts. Mr. and Mrs. Stewart lived out here, had a life here. And sadly, they lost their lives here. They were tragically axe murdered by Mrs. Stewart's grandson and his friend. He traveled all the way out to this area, deep in the woods, in the middle of the night, and murdered them because they learned that they had money, and that's what they were after. It's a really sad and tragic story. Stewart Homestead, Mr. and Mrs. Stewart, axe murdered together in their home by Sally's grandson Joshua Browning and his friend John Tucker in 1918. Here's the gravesite of the Stewarts. by this structure, part of the old homestead. I used to stand here. It's been standing here for over 100 years. There's more to this structure at one time. Built with this sturdy cypress wood. From the cypress trees, and probably milled at the sawmill nearby during those days as well. Nice to see this area kept up and preserved. Really thankful for that, for all the volunteers, the Florida Trail Association, and the Heartland Chapter of the Florida Trail Association. Peaceful resting place out here in the woods. It's nice that some flowers have been placed here, and the grave site and homestead area is kept up, and that's nice to see. I would like to thank the Florida Trail Association, the Heartland Chapter of the Florida Trail, and all the volunteers that come out here to keep this site preserved, protected. And it's incredible to see this area today. Remember all the history. Just the beauty out here in the woods. Cattle dipping vat for tick fever. It's built in 1929. Out here in the woods by the homestead, there's an old cattle vet. And it's pretty interesting. It's part of the ranching history in this area. This was built and constructed around 1929, according to some of the dates I'm seeing etched into the concrete here. Here's the cattle dipping vat. Much of it has collapsed in within itself there. You see the dates and some names etched into the concrete here at this cattle vat. This indicates here the year 1929. Really interesting.